During the first 6 months of 2024, 229 rhinos were poached in South Africa, compared to 231 for the same reporting period in 2023. Of those rhinos poached, 191 were killed on state properties and 38 on privately owned parks, reserves or farms. A significant drop was noted during May and June this year, with national losses reported at 21 and 22 respectively. May and June of 2023 were recorded at 42 and 34. This reduced loss is thought to be attributable to the dehorning of rhino populations in KwaZulu-Natal, and specifically in Hluhluwe, iMfolozi Park, where over 1,000 rhinos have been dehorned since April 2024. Kruger National Park lost 45 rhinos to poaching from January to June 2024, compared to 42 during the same reporting period in 2023. Kruger National Park continues to implement its Rhino Conservation Plan, which amongst others focuses on guarding and protecting rhinos in the core rhino areas, the use of appropriate technologies, dehorning of rhino, and implementing innovative biological management in these areas. The Kruger National Park Integrity Management Plan is being implemented to address staff integrity, which also focuses on other initiatives such as field ranger selection and training, polygraph testing, wellness, financial literacy training, and skills development programs. With regard to rhino population numbers, at the end of 2023, South Africa reported 16,056 rhinos, comprising 2,065 black and 13,991 white rhinos. These figures compare with figures estimated for the end of 2021, where there were 2,056 black and 12,968 white rhinos in the country. South Africa had 1,032 more rhinos in 2023 than what there were in 2021, despite the poaching. In 2022 and 2023, 2.9% and 3.2% of South Africa's rhinos respectively were poached. These were lower than the threshold of 3.5%, beyond which rhino numbers will decline. Implementation of the Year 1 targets of the implementation plan of the National Integrated Strategy to Combat Wildlife Trafficking is well underway, and cooperation between all stakeholders, including government and the private sector, is being promoted. The implementation of the strategy is overseen by the NAT Joint's Priority Committee on Wildlife Trafficking. During the reporting period, over 60 suspects have been arrested and 20 heavy caliber firearms recovered in relation to rhino poaching and rhino horn trafficking. Successful joint operations and investigations between SAP's Stock Theft and Endangered Species Unit, environmental management inspectors from national and provincial conservation agencies and departments, the Directorate of Priority Crime Investigations, and private security teams are to be commended for their sustained effort. The following successful convictions were received in the past 6 months. 2 rhino horn traffickers were sentenced to 18 years imprisonment, of which 6 years imprisonment was suspended for 5 years in the Ermelo Regional Court on 1 July 2024. This came after the 2 traffickers were arrested in December 2022 for the possession of 4 rhino horns. On appeal, the conviction and sentence of 3 Botswana nationals were confirmed. They entered the country illegally and were convicted on 1 count of murder after one of the accomplices were killed during a confrontation on the farm, the illegal possession of a prohibited firearm and ammunition, illegally entering the country and hunting a rhino without a permit, and sentenced to 36 years imprisonment, effectively to serve 25 years imprisonment. In the Skukuza court, an accused was sentenced to 35 years imprisonment on charges of trespassing, hunting of 1 rhino, possession of a prohibited firearm, possession of an unlicensed firearm and ammunition, possession of a dangerous weapon, and conspiracy to commit an offence. Whilst in another case, the accused was sentenced to 26 years imprisonment on similar charges. In the Free State, 3 accused were convicted on conspiracy to hunt a rhino and were sentenced to 5 years indirect imprisonment. In addition, a silver Audi A4 to the value of 100,000 rand, which was used as an instrument to the offence, was forfeited to the state. A courier on her way to Malaysia was arrested at OR Tambo International Airport. After she booked her suitcases in at the airport, an operator at the scanner section identified that the suitcases contained 12 rhino horns. An environmental management inspector testified that the activities of the courier cannot be evaluated in isolation of the fact that the horns were linked through DNA to 3 poaching crime scenes, that the consignment was part of the organized crime value chain, and that the court needs to take into account the human, conservation, and socio-economic impacts of these crimes. The accused was convicted and sentenced to 5 years direct imprisonment. Given the organized and transnational nature of the crimes involved, ongoing engagements and cooperation with other countries is essential. During the reporting period, the Hawks and DFFE participated in several regional and transnational engagements to enhance their integrated approach to combating wildlife trafficking, working with transit and end-user countries in Southeast Asia, especially with the People's Republic of China, Singapore, Qatar, Malaysia, and Vietnam. Responsible partnerships between the public and private sector, financial and transport sector also remains key as we move forward with implementation of the strategy. Finally, the DFFE is currently in the process of finalizing the consultative process for the publication of the revised Biodiversity Management Plan for black and white rhinos for implementation. This is in line with the provision of the National Environmental Management Biodiversity Act. All comments from the consultative process, which included over 700 individuals, will be processed and synthesized to revise the draft plan before the end of 2024. Members of the public can report any suspicious activity around wildlife to its environmental crime hotline, which is 0800 205 005, or the SAPS number 10111.